Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at an incredibly fun theme team in the Ultra League that worked way better than it ever should have. This is the triple Meteor Beam theme team consisting of Tyrantrum on the lead with Aurorus and Aggron in the back. This team of course has so many weaknesses, it's absolutely not a team I would recommend trying. However, against all odds, I was able to go 7-3 with the team in the 2900s. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Triple Meteor Beam in action in the Open Ultra League. Hopping to the first match, leading Tyrantrum into Charizard. I am of course resisting the wing attacks, but Charizard does have access to Dragon Claw, which will hit for super effective damage. Tyrantrum, not the tankiest mon around. Opponent is going to save switch into Tapu Fini, and I'm going straight for the Meteor Beam. I am triple weak to this, I need to get damage. Meteor Beam gets no shielded, and now I can send in Aggron. Let's go. At this health range, the Tapu Fini is a lot more manageable. Tapu goes for the Surf, Aggron takes a ton of damage. Aggron continuing to farm, Tapu Fini makes it to another move. This is not great. I'm actually going to let the Aggron go and instead choose to get farm on Aurorus. At this point, I'm just hoping that my opponent is going to be weak to Aurorus in the back. I already know they have Zard. The question is, are they going to be weak as well? And my opponent is going to send in a Charizard. I build up to the Meteor Beam. I'm baiting with the Weather Ball. Weather Ball gets no shielded, as that's a great call by my opponent. My opponent does have quite a bit of energy here. I will commit the shield. They full send the Blast Burn in the back. They have Trevenant. Oh my goodness, we actually have a chance here. I'm going to fire off this Weather Ball. Weather Ball able to land. My opponent choosing to save their shields until they absolutely have to use them, which is right now. Weather Ball is going to grab the first shield from the opponent. I continue to farm. I send in Tyrantrum, and I'm just using this as a damage sponge, forcing them to throw energy, and then I should be able to farm down with Aurorus. They reach a last second move, but I can shield. The Powder Snow went through, so the Trevenant is KO'd. In comes the Zard, and we make it to back-to-back Weather Balls. First one gets the shield, second one is going to get the KO, and against all odds, Triple Meteor Beam gets a win. Moving into the next match, picking up an incredibly nice lead, Tyrantrum into Pidgeot. My entire team crushes Pidgeot, and my opponent is staying in the lead. I have to hope this means they're weak to rock somewhere in the back as well. Pidgeot firing off a charge move. They go for the Feather Dance. That will, of course, debuff my attack by 2 stages, but even if you debuff a Meteor Beam, it's still easily KOing at this range. Meteor Beam KOs the Pidgeot. In comes Shadow Swampert, and this is bad news. Tyrantrum is my best Swampert counter, but I'm currently 1 stage debuffed. So I'm actually going to commit the shield and then pivot into Aurorus. I'm not in Hydro Cannon range, so they're going to have to build up to an Earthquake to KO here. I fire off the Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to get a shield from the Shadow Swampert. Swampert continues to farm. They do have enough for the Quake. I'm just going to let this through. Opponent goes for the Hydro Cannon. I'm able to hang on and make it to Weather Ball number 2. This is massive. Weather Ball gets the shield. Opponent gets the farm down, but Tyrantrum wins CMP over the Shadow Swampert. I fire off the Crunch. Crunch is going to KO and deny their energy. In the back is Charizard, and that's a good game. Tricky lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Swampert. This is where I want to see Swampert on the team, but it's still not a great matchup for me. Opponent goes for the Hydro Cannon, and they throw on alignment. Due to the Dragon Rock typing, Hydro Cannon only hits for neutral here, so I can actually no-shield the first move and then fire off the Crunch. Crunch is going to get no-shielded by the opponent. Tyrantrum continues to farm. Opponent gives me another free Dragon Tail, and now I think I can shield once and farm all the way down. I've gotten the Swampert out of the way. We'll have to see what they have in the back. They have Wall Rain. I'm going straight for the Meteor Beam here. Do they respect it? Yes, they do. I'm going to pivot into my Aurorus. Aurorus farming up here, and I win CMP over the Wall Rain. That is massive. I'm firing off the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam lands, and at this point, I'm going to let this through. An Earthquake doesn't actually KO me here, so I let it through. Opponent baits with an Icicle Spear, and now I'm in an even better spot. I know this will be the Earthquake, so I actually decide to shield. Changed my mind on that. I will commit the shield. In the back, the opponent has Nidoqueen, and I'm so happy that I committed the shield because I'm going to need Aurorus to try and win this game. My opponent farms up to the Earth Power, but we get the catch back onto Tyrantrum, and we may be running triple Meteor Beam, but my opponent is only going to get to see 2 of them. I have the back-to-back Weather Balls. That's going to KO. Opponent sends in the Wall Rain. Wall Rain cannot make it to an Earthquake. All they get to is the Icicle Spear. Aurorus shakes off the damage, gets the farm down, and that is a good game. We've got a very tough lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Deoxys. Deoxys beats this entire team, so this is going to be extremely difficult. I'm farming up energy. Opponent is going for a move. I'm going to let this through. Opponent is going to fire off the Psycho Boost, and then they're going to send in Wall Rain, and I will respond with Aggron. These smackdowns tearing through the Wall Rain. This is a tough call. Are they going to bait? I shield at the last second, and I do get baited with an Icicle Spear. You hate to see it. Aggron going straight for the Meteor Beam here. This will KO if they let it through. Meteor Beam gets the knockout. They have Scrafty as well, and at this point, there's nothing to do but concede the match. Picking up a pretty decent lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Charizard. I'm going to farm up some fast moves and look to catch a Dragon Claw onto Aurorus, but my opponent shows great patience as they do not go for the Claw. I tank a Blast Burn, so I am going to let this through. Opponent goes for the Blast Burn. I'm going to farm up, bait with a Weather Ball, and they should be just short of the Blast Burn here. So I'm going to let this go. It is just the Dragon Claw, and now I'm going to return fire with the Weather Ball. Weather Ball won't quite KO here. My opponent calls the bait, which is a pretty nice play from them. I'm going to slightly overfarm and go for Weather Ball number 2. This Weather Ball is going to KO the Charizard. In comes Giratina. Aurorus able to hang on with 1 HP and make it to a last-second Weather Ball. Weather Ball is going to land. I do have some energy on Tyrantrum, so I'm going to send in Tyrantrum. This Dragon Claw is going to do a ton of damage. Dragon Claw lands. Opponent farming up in the back. They have Trevenant. Oh my goodness, this might actually be winnable. Crunch is going to get a shield, and unfortunately, I do not get a debuff. I'm really hoping that I can get a debuff onto this Trevenant to make farming it down easier. My opponent just has to go for a Seed Bomb in this matchup. I'm going for Crunch number 2. This will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. Crunch gets the shield. I get the debuff, and now it is Aggron time. They have so much energy here. I decide to call the bait. I'm hoping they Seed Bomb. They go for the Shadow Ball. That deals a ton of damage. But now, this is only a Seed Bomb. I will shield it, but they're going to have to switch into the Giratina, and I am very close to a Meteor Beam. Aggron makes it to the Meteor Beam. This will be getting rid of the Giratina. Can Trevenant reach a move? They cannot, and the Meteor Beam theme team keeps on winning. We've got an interesting lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Shadow Gliscor. Gliscor can hit the entire team for super effective damage, so definitely not a fun Pokemon to see. I'm going to fire off the Crunch here. Crunch is going to get the shield from the opponent. This is enough for the Earthquake, but I'm feeling brave. I'm calling the bait. Opponent baits with a Night Slash. That's a massive call. Tyrantrum continues to farm. At this point, I'm going to call a bait again. Do they send the Quake? They do not. It's another Night Slash. They go for Night Slash number 3. I decide to save this energy in case they have a Swampert in the back, and I'm going to send in Aurorus. Aurorus looking for the farm down. In comes Cobalion, and I lose the game on the spot. This is unfortunately where running 3 rock types can go very, very wrong, as there's just not a thing I could do against this Cobalion. Look at the Weather Balls. They just do absolutely no damage, and I concede the match. Moving into the next match, looking to avenge my loss last game, leading Tyrantrum into Shadow Charizard. Opponent is going to switch out, save switching into Shadow Walrein, and I respond with Aggron. These smackdowns are tearing through the Walrein, but Walrein can return fire with the Earthquake. I commit the shield, and I get baited. You hate to see it. I will be able to make it to the Meteor Beam. This, of course, will buff up my attack and force a shield from the opponent if they want to land the Earthquake. They do. They'll commit the shield, and I'm more than happy to shield back here, because I'll leave with a very healthy Aggron that has boosted attack and a little bit of energy. Opponent is going to send in their final Mon, and it's Trevenant. I should be able to make it to the Heavy Slam just before they make it to the Shadow Ball. This will be grabbing the final shield, and then I'm going to aggressively switch into Aurorus. I want to save my Aggron for later in the match, and Aurorus can tank 2 Seed Bombs in the Ultra League. They go for Seed Bomb number 1. They're going for Seed Bomb number 2. I'm expecting they're going to try and catch the Weather Ball onto Zard. They do. I'm able to withstand the wing attacks and make it to the Meteor Beam. This is going to be goodbye Shadow Charizard. Back in comes the Trevenant. Now Trevenant is going to be met with the Aggron. They're going to be forced to fire a Shadow Ball here to get the KO. A Seed Bomb won't quite do it. They go for the Seed Bomb. Aggron survives. Aggron smacks down, and that's game over. Terrible lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to check the fast move here. They are running Charm, and now I'm going to save switch into Aurorus. My opponent is not switching out, which is really good news for me, because Aurorus with his Rock Ice typing is not a great save switch. Meteor Beam able to land, and my opponent sends in a Runorigus. Runorigus, not something that's been seen as much this season considering how popular flyers are, but Runorigus has quite a bit of energy here. I will respect it with a shield. Opponent baits with a Sand Tomb, and that feels absolutely terrible to shield a Sand Tomb. I'm going to fire off Weather Ball here. Weather Ball is going to get the shield. Opponent continuing to throw energy. I'm just going to let this go. My opponent goes for the Sand Tomb. They're looking for the farm down here. Aurorus farms down instead, and I leave with a Weather Ball, but unfortunately I get sniped with Giratina. They have their Dragon Breath Tina. In comes the Ninetales, but I'm able to anticipate the snipe attempt and catch onto Aggron. In comes Dragon Breath Tina. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Tyrantrum into Tapu Fini. I'm going to save switch into Aggron, but honestly, I have zero good matchups versus Tapu Fini here. Tapu Fini is going to outpace, go for the Surf, and I will commit the shield. I'm going to return fire with the Meteor Beam. Meteor Beam probably going to get shielded as well, but I will of course get to buff up my attack, meaning the Smackdowns will do some extra damage. Smackdowns continuing to hit the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini will fire off a charge move. At this point, even if I shield, I'm getting farmed down, so I'm just gonna let this go, send back in Tyrantrum. Opponent is gonna send in their Shadow Drapion, and they're on Aqua Tail. So that is pretty good info for me to have. Aqua Tail is going to hit for neutral. I'm going to continue to farm up here, and I should be able to throw 2 more Dragon Tails and go for the Meteor Beam right before they make it to Aqua Tail number 3. So I'm going to farm up. I am throwing on alignment there, but I wanted to try and maximize the amount of farm possible. Meteor Beam is going to KO. We'll have to see, does the opponent send in the Fini, or do we see their final Pokemon here? They send in the Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini is going for a Surf. I'm going to shield, fire off the Crunch. Crunch should hopefully grab the shield back or KO, and then we'll see what they have in the back here. Crunch gets the shield, and suddenly I'm thinking they're probably weak to Rock in the back. This could be a Charizard. So my goal is I want to try and overfarm as much as possible, go for the Weather Ball to KO the Fini, and then I'll have the Meteor Beam for the Charizard. But my opponent makes the catch of their life, catching the Weather Ball onto the Shadow Charizard, and unfortunately, I think that may have just lost me the game. What a play by my opponent. Meteor Beam KOs, Tapu Fini gets the farm down. It's a race. Tyrantrum is going to be met with a move from Tapu Fini, and we lose a heartbreakingly close game. Hopping into the final match, and we've got a disastrous lead. Tyrantrum into Registeel. I have nothing for Registeel on this team. I'm just going to stay in with Tyrantrum, double shield, and basically just hope that I can do as much damage as possible. I shield the Focus Blast, but I get baited with a Zap Cannon, and to add insult to injury, they get the attack drop as well. Things going from bad to worse. I go for the Crunch. I do not see a debuff. I'm going for Crunch number 2 here. I desperately need a defense drop onto the Registeel. Crunch lands, gets the defense drop, and I'm going to shield. I'm not expecting them to bait twice, but they do, and they get another attack drop. At this point, I'm thinking the game's lost. I just have to throw away the Aggron here and just let Aggron die to a Focus Blast. Registeel goes for a Zap Cannon. They made a mistake. Maybe I have a chance now. The Smackdowns are getting the Registeel low. Registeel is going to fire off this Focus Blast. Focus Blast is going to KO. A misclick from the opponent may have just given us a chance. Tyrantrum gets the farm down. Let's see what they have in the back. They send in Cresselia. Okay, I can do some nice damage here with Crunch. I fire off the Crunch. That's going to land. I get the defense drop. I'm going for the kill shot here with the Meteor Beam. Do they respect it? Meteor Beam gets the shield. I wait, switch, trying to catch a Moonblast, but my opponent holds on to their energy. Do they have Grass Knot on the Cresselia? They do not, as they go for Future Sight. I'm farming up. I'm going straight for the Meteor Beam. They did get debuffed by Crunch, so I'm hoping a Meteor Beam KOs. Meteor Beam gets the KO in the back. They have Shadow Zapdos, and I may actually have a chance here. Zapdos will have to Thunderbolt to KO, as Drill Peck is going to be resisted. I continue to farm with Aurorus. This is easily enough for the Thunderbolt. This is just going to KO. My opponent goes for the Drill Peck. Aurorus survives. I I overtap and I lose CMP. Oh my goodness. Come on. Can Tyrantrum get the farm down? Tyrantrum farms down the Zapdos. Somehow we survive that game and get the win. All in all, I would absolutely not recommend running this team, as there is no shot if I tried it again, I would even have remotely close to the same success. I was extremely fortunate to actually climb with this team over the course of 2 sets, as going into it, I was fully expecting to go 0-10. Teams like this, triple rock, stuff like that, absolutely not teams I would recommend for climbing, but on the off chance lightning strikes and you're able to have some good sets with it, it is a pretty awesome feeling. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.